Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Megan, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Rich Walsh, I'll be joined by Andrew Fillipponi in a matter of moments over to 93.7 The Fan Cam. And when you're taking your phone calls tonight, 412-575-2600 is the number. Obviously, the number one topic here tonight, the battle in Buccos and Paul Skeens getting it done. The Pirates are 6-1 when Skeens is on the mound. He's in 4-0 right now. He's mowing down the Reds. Pony, maybe not the greatest start, but he gets out of the inning with giving up 1 run. His ERA comes down a little, actually, but he only gave up 6 hits throughout the course of 6 innings tonight. So I think it's a quality start, maybe his best start yet as a Pirate at home.
I agree. That was a regrettable lineup. And then yesterday afternoon in Colorado, they played a lot of their bigger name players. So I hope that that was an adjustment by them as a staff, that we can't just put out our backups and bench warmers and expect to beat teams, even last place teams like the Rockies. So good job by them in that regard, probably recognizing that they had a spot starter, or not even a spot starter, had a bullpen game and needed to score some runs in the high altitude of Colorado. So yeah, they're only a half game out right now, Richie, but the offense I still think is lacking. They are second to last in OPS. They lead the National League in strikeouts. They need to find a couple of bats if they're really going to seriously threaten with the starting pitching that they have right now.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I loved one of your tweets here tonight when you talked about O'Neal Cruz. Today is game 162, so his rookie year is over. Are those star numbers, 28 home runs, 91 RBI, 243, 747 OPS? Is that a star in your mind?
It's close. I mean, in many ways, he has been better than the Reds' De La Cruz. He hasn't made as many errors as De La Cruz. He doesn't have the stolen bases, but the power numbers are better. And he had that horrible injury that he had to work back from. It took him longer than I expected him to get started this year, to get going. But once he did, we're seeing him hit right-handed pitching. His numbers in June are very good. Not as good as Reynolds, obviously, but still pretty strong. I think he has a chance this year to hit 25 to 30 home runs. Now, going into the season, we thought he might hit 40. I don't think that's going to happen. But all in all, I think a pretty good year for O'Neal Cruz. There are some baseball things about the game where he makes a bad decision or throws to the wrong base or rushes a throw when he shouldn't. I mean, those things are still a work in progress from him. But overall, he's not anywhere close to the list of Pirates' problems right now. He's not a star yet. Skeens is a star.
Yeah.
But I think he has a chance to be a very good player.
So you brought up the Pirates need a couple of bats. There's no question about it. And I hope they are buyers at the trade deadline. We're about 6 weeks away, I think, from that. Pony, but here's what I think the typical Pirates move will be. Are guys like Rowdy Tellez is hitting. They're going to bank on Jack Sawinski turning it around. Maybe Brian Hayes catches fire. And that'll make them believe that they don't need to make a move because these guys are going to get better, or at least they think so. And I think that's maybe the problem here because we've seen it in the past.
I don't disagree with that. And they're going to probably feel even stronger about that because of Tellez coming out of this slump. And they're going to look at that as a way of preaching patience, and that patience being rewarded because they held on to him and they didn't DFA him. They didn't react to the boos and the Bronx cheers from fans, and they stood by their guy, and now he's hitting in June an OPS over 1,000, and he had 2 more doubles tonight. So I could see that with Sawinski for sure. He hit 25 home runs, 26 home runs last year. I could see them saying eventually he'll work himself out of this. But you have Connor Joe, who is slumped big time. He's had a bad month. I still think even with Sawinski and Reynolds, there's room for one more outfielder, at least one more, because McCutchen is going to mostly be the DH. And then there's the sensitive topic of catcher too, Richie. You know, I keep hearing how much they love Grandal as a defensive catcher. Well, then that position is just a nothing offensively because he's under 200. Davis can't hit even though he's hurt right now. Jason DeLay might actually be their best hitting catcher, which is sad.
All right, we're going to take a break. We want to hear from you guys out there, 412-575-2600. 0-0. Big Bucko win here tonight against the Reds. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our GMC Tweet of the Night. This is from the NFL. Former Steelers Plexico Burress, Ike Taylor, Jerome Bettis posed with their sons, who all just committed to play for Notre Dame. Elijah, Ivan, and Jerome Jr. are all committed to play for the Irish. Also, I want to mention, Pony, Ryan Clark's son just transferred there too. So they got an Irish Steelers pipeline for Notre Dame now. You don't like it?
Why do they sign on to play there? They're dying to go 9-3 or 10-2 and get blown out in the first round of the college football playoff. That's what they're doing. That's what they want to do. Notre Dame makes me sick. I've never been a Notre Dame fan. I actually hate Notre Dame with a passion. I watch them every Saturday. I hate watch them and root for them to lose just about every game, unless by some crazy occurrence I have money on them to win the game, in which case they probably still lose, just to make me hate them even more. So,
but Pony, it's a great atmosphere. Have you ever gone to a Notre Dame game?
Touchdown, Jesus. Yep, yeah. Play like a champion. All that nonsense. Why did those guys go to Pitt? They're Pittsburgh guys.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Where
right?
was the Pat? Where was the Pat signal?
Yeah, where's Narduzzi with these guys? You know, I don't know. It's a good question, Pony. Speaking of the Steelers, what about Aiyuk? With his FaceTime saying that they don't want him there. What do you think happens here? How does this unfold with Brandon Aiyuk? I mean, is he going to get traded? I mean, obviously he's not going to get cut. Is he going to hold out and pull Le'Veon Bell? What's going to happen here, you think? And what percentage do you put on the Steelers getting him?
I put a pretty high percentage on it. I think that they have a massive hole. I think that we've seen Omar Khan be very aggressive. I think they wanted to get something done around the draft, but the 49ers were confident that cooler heads would prevail and that Aiyuk would come to his senses and would take their offer. He's not. He feels like he's being lowballed. He feels like he deserves to get paid like the best receivers in the NFL. He wants $28, $29, $30 million. San Francisco won't budge because they still got to pay Brock Purdy eventually, and they've already paid guys like Nick Bosa on defense, and they just gave Christian McCaffrey a new contract. So that makes Aiyuk expendable. They also drafted a wide receiver in the first round. So I'd like to see the Steelers do it. You know, they've spent almost no money on offense. They have the second cheapest offense in the NFL. They've spent no money on wide receivers. Here is a guy that came in here and torched you in week 1 last year and scored 2 touchdowns. He's legitimately one of the 10 best receivers in the NFL. You're not paying your quarterbacks anything. Go get Brandon Aiyuk, and I think Omar Khan will make an attempt. I think he'll go for it. It's just a matter of whether or not San Francisco will finally admit that the guy will not play there for only $14 million, and they'll take what they can get for the guy.
So how are the Steelers going to have to give up a draft pick? You know, I would imagine they don't want to give up a first-round draft pick for him, but so they're going to have to give him something good for him, right? They're going to have to pay a quarterback next year. They're going to have to pay George Pickens. They're also going to have to pay for a running back. How do you afford $25+ million for another number 2 receiver? Maybe Pat Freiermuth too. They're going to have to pay a tight end.
Well, the running back's not going to cost anything. They just told you with Najee Harris they don't want to pay running backs. They didn't even want to pay Najee $6 million. So that's not going to be an issue. As far as Freiermuth goes, I don't know. A lot of insiders think it's a done deal that he'll get signed. I'm not as confident in that because of his injury history. And if I'm Pat and I'm going to be featured in Arthur Smith's offense, I think I'd rather play this year out, have a big season, and then get more money in free agency and see what other teams will pay me. And they don't have to pay a quarterback next year necessarily. I mean, there's a lot of ways this could go. Maybe they get Justin Fields on a contract extension before the season starts, and it's not a lot of money, and he gets earmarked as their quarterback for next year. So, hey, the Eagles have found a way to pay both of their receivers. The Dolphins have found a way to pay both of their receivers. There's enough money to go around here for Brandon Aiyuk to be a Steeler if they really want him.
All right, let's go to Jim and Peters, our number 1 Cochran call of the night. What's up, Jim?
Yeah, let's just say I'm going to pick Graves 75. I'll just say this. I have to go back to Notre Dame. I hate him. No, Skeens is a surgeon and all that, but let's get back to Pitt. Okay, I hate Notre Dame. I was there, and Dorsett was there. And I remember Tony said that Eric Pasegian said that Tony wasn't big enough. Tony went 303 yards against Notre Dame as Dorsett left. The next year, Paul Hornung said, I'll jump out of the booth if Dorsett runs for 100. Dorsett ran for 160. They ran the grass high. Tony told me, I played him basketball, and he goes, they didn't run the grass high enough. Beano Cook said he would vote for Russia over Notre Dame.
Well, you know, I grew up a Notre Dame fan, so I went to Pitt,
Why?
though. So I don't know, because
What's
I'm
wrong with
Irish
you?
Catholic. My uncle was a huge Notre
So
Dame
am I.
fan. Yeah, but my uncle, and I felt like I had to root for Notre Dame because every kind of watched it. If you were Irish Catholic, I don't know why. You either grow up loving or hating Notre Dame, and I'm in the class that grew up loving Notre Dame. I wanted to go there, too. Chose Pitt instead.
Even though you just heard the caller say they don't treat Pitt very nicely, even with that, even with the way they look down on Pitt.
Look, I root for Notre Dame when they don't play Pitt. I root for Pitt at all times. You know, Penn State is the school that I want to see Pitt play more often. That's the school that does it for me. Like I don't like Penn State. I mean, if you're a fan, right? Like I grew up rooting against Penn State, not Pitt. So, but I grew up a Notre Dame fan, so I admit it. I like Notre Dame. I like the Irish. I've been to a couple games. Kelly and I went up a few years ago. We saw them beat up on Navy. It's just a fun atmosphere. It's a cool stadium to go hang out and play and watch football. I like it. Sorry.
Well, the Patriots had, for a bunch of years, had a great atmosphere, and I didn't like them. So I get what you're saying. There's great atmospheres, but that doesn't mean I have to like the team because they know how to tailgate or whatever before games. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how we got it. I guess we got on the Pitt topic because of all those guys going to Notre Dame. It's a pretty big year for Pitt. You can't make it 2 in a row. You got to make last year the mulligan. You got to make last year the exception to the rule with only 3 wins. And speaking of mulligans, Rory McIlroy is going to be thinking about those 2 putts for the rest of his life, Richie. I understand the greens are fast there, and they play tricks on people. But you're inside of 5 feet twice, and you miss both of those putts. It's in his head, and it's moments like that that make many think he's just not built to win major championships anymore with the way he choked at the U.S. Open yesterday.
He was the guy you wanted to putt those balls. I mean, I think he has the best putting percentage inside 4 feet on the PGA Tour.
Well, he was making long ones, too, to get himself to the top of the leaderboard. The putter was working until it wasn't.
You know, I think one of the debates, and you weren't on the Showdown last night, but one of the debates we had on the Showdown was PGA versus LIV. Do you think that this does anything for that feud to maybe kind of end?
No.
Look, because I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to LIV, and that star power is not at the PGA anymore.
I think the feud is over. DeChambeau, the fans love him there. He's really rectified his image with a lot of the stuff he does on YouTube and the videos he makes. The way he went after that fan at the PGA for stealing that golf ball from that kid, I loved that. So did many others. He seems like he's a completely different guy. I got emotional hearing him talking about his dad passing away after he won. I thought that tugged on people's heartstrings.
Yeah.
Payne Stewart as well was a mentor for him. And, you know, Payne obviously dying tragically and having won the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. So I think he's more relatable now. I think even though he's a quirky guy and so technical about golf, I think he's turned himself into a man of the people, and I think he's very much well-liked. And I think the LIV rivalry, like you said, is basically over.
Yeah, I mean, no one really pays attention to it. They don't really have a TV partner. They're on the CW, but they pay to be on the CW. I don't know if any of the big-time networks will touch the LIV. So I think it'll be hard for them. I mean, my guess that the LIV is just going to end in a couple years. I mean, where are they getting this money? I mean, I understand they have a ton of money.
They got unlimited money.
Yes, but they're going to get sick of paying for nothing, right? What are they getting out of it?
Yeah, that is a good question right now. What are they getting out of it currently? The exodus of great players, you're right, has not led to more exposure and more coverage. I was with golf fans on Father's Day, and I asked them, have you ever watched a LIV event? And the answer I got was, I tried, and I couldn't. It was just not entertaining. It was not fun to watch. The production value of the broadcasts were not very good. And the competition, these guys, it doesn't seem like it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's very competitive. So it's a good point. I mean, there's supposed to be a merger, right? When is that going to happen?
I don't know. They all got paid. I bet you it's going to fold at some point here in the next few years, and they're going to eventually come back to the PGA. We got to eventually take a break, and we're going to do that right now. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Now it's time to bring in Megan Schiller to find out what's coming up on KDKA News at 11. Megan.
Hey, Richie. Tonight's storms are wreaking havoc on thousands of people's power. Plus, KDKA First Alert meteorologist Ray Patland is still tracking a week full of First Alert weather days. It's all ahead at 11. See you then.
All right, thanks a lot, Megan. We'll see you in a couple minutes. Pony, we don't have a lot of time here, about a minute. This weather is going to be brutal here. You have any big plans in the next week or so? Are you doing anything fun?
Totally disagree. I love this weather.
I do, too.
I love 90s. If I could get out of bed and have every day 95 degrees, I would take it. So I'm loving this weather. So compliments to Ray Petland. I'll be glued to the TV hoping for more 90s weather.
I told him I wanted to see triple digits. Let's hit 103 like Paul Skeens, right? I don't want any of this 95 and 96 stuff.
Good for me. I'd rather have it 103 than 63 any day of the week.
All right, well, we got a big series with the Reds for the Pirates. A couple games left. They got to take 2 out of 3. This is crunch time for them. Even though it's kind of the middle of the season, Pony, this is a huge series for them.
Well, it's just they're keeping pace. You know, this is a very bad wild card race where the Nationals are actually the last wild card right now. They're not better than you. So take advantage of your great young starting pitching.
All right, thanks a lot, Pony. We'll see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow.
See you, Richie.
Hopefully we see you guys over at KDKA News at 11 in just a couple minutes.